representative of the National Parliament, honorable representative of Madam, the Chair of the National Economic and Social Council, Madam Minister, Territorial Operations for Quebec, Madam Commissioner of ECOWAS, Representative for Social Affairs and Gender, Chairman of the World Association of Services, the Chairman of African Services for Public Employment, the Honorable Chairman of African Association for Public Employment Services, Honorable Director Generals of the National Agencies and Public Employment Services, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, dear youth. It is with pleasure and huge interest that I'm chairing on behalf of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Macky Sall, the opening ceremony of the International Conference of the World Association for Employment and Public Employment Services. I would like particularly thank on behalf of the President of the Republic, Mr. Macky Sall, and my own name, the Global Association for Public Employment Services, for the choice bestowed upon Senegal through the Social Agency for Youth Employment in order to organize this international conference on this theme, which is very topical and important indeed, innovations in the governance of youth employment. Senegal is therefore honored to host this very important meeting devoted to one of the major challenges of this century, which is calls on us individually and collectively. Indeed, if employment is an economic problem, it is also, and above all, a social stake, which gives any person important and sustainable employment. Article 21 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 10th of December 1948 says that all persons have right to employment, equitable and satisfactory working conditions, and protection against unemployment. This provision is also repeated in Senegalese constitutions, particularly under Article 25, which is talking about employment for all, which is a necessity which no state should forget, and nobody can assume without the state. It is with this conviction that President Macky Sall has put employment, and particularly youth employment, in the national priority in his project for society for Senegal towards emergence. Since his assumed and the head of the Republic, he has developed a new policy for employment, which is being validated, the designing of a new plan of action for youth employment and rationalization of youth employment. Rationalization, this option is translated with the separation of 4 agencies and funds, which has been replaced by one structure responsible from now on for the implementation of government policy in the area of youth employment. I mean the National Agency for the Youth Employment and Page, which is a real public employment service with a very good assessment. I therefore, on this occasion, would like to thank the Director General for the multifarious initiatives he is taking to facilitate for youth asking for job access to employment, thanks to proximity and quality services which the agency is developing successfully. The unification process of database started coupled with the whole coverage of the territory as youth employment space, which will facilitate information for youth employment. This issue of rampage of the access to information was ensured simultaneously with the delicate issue of access to funding, thanks to the setting of two instruments for the promotion of self-employment of youth, the Guarantee Fund for Youth Self-Employment and Support Fund for Youth Entrepreneurship. This innovative mechanism, which removes the major bottlenecks related to the guarantee and personal support and high interest, will allow the youth who have economic initiatives to access more easily to funding. Honorable Chairman of AMSEC, ladies and gentlemen, the youth employment crisis is not a fatality. It is a challenge which calls upon all governments of the world. Yet, it is accessible for us, and fighting against youth unemployment is not a favor for the youth. It is rather a development challenge, sustainable development challenge in a world where the youth constitute the majority of the population, and Africa cannot do away the support of its youth because it is ready to put all its strength and ideas in youth employment. It is therefore the duty of all states to put youth employment at the core of its priorities. That is what the President of the Republic is doing with all his government, who are working on servantly with all that. That is our baseline framework of political and economic issues. This will allow direct employment. The community areas are also innovative area and very attractive, which will allow the youth to have some autonomous plots with the material support of governments for them to become new agricultural entrepreneurs. The project of support for youth and women employment are funded by the African Development Fund, for an amount of about 18 CFA, billions of CFA francs will support youth employment with development of agricultural farms, multifunctional platforms, and funding line of 4 billion destined to youth employment. You will understand that rural employment is also a beautiful opportunity for our case for full employment for the Senegalese youth, with the support of the United Nations Fund for Agriculture and Food. A new policy, national policy for youth employment in rural areas is being formulated. We would like to thank him for that. Ladies and gentlemen, as you will note, the Senegalese government has done a lot in the fight against youth unemployment. It is also aware of all the efforts which we should continue and the importance we have for this Dakar conference. I am therefore persuaded that this will give rise to relevant proposals in the area of innovation. However, innovation should not be regarded as an absolute questioning of the present and past order, but also the public employment services in order to bring the qualitative changes for greater efficiency in action. It is in the name of these results that we want to strengthen the means of intervention for innovation, especially in the development of youth employment and funding of projects and insertion programs. Beyond the reform of the labor code, which took place in 12 February 2015, which has provisions related to employment of youth in technical and vocational training schools, in the Senegalese normative framework with a view to improving their employment. We would strive with the province to speed up the development of national professional training program, which will facilitate massive employment of the latter in the world labor. This is the same of finalization of negotiations with employers associations in the private sector, which is third generation, which is actually a public-private partnership, which is between the government and the private sector. As far as funding of projects and program for youth is concerned, under the Prime Minister, concrete proposals of government will be tabled to the head of state to identify sustainable fund financing which will strengthen intervention means of the National Agency for the Promotion of Youth Employment. Our ambition is therefore to come up with setting up a big fund for youth employment, which we have just covered the contours. I finally would like to conclude by congratulating the Director General of the National Agency for the Promotion of Youth Employment, and also to all the members of the preparatory committee for the smooth organization of the conference. I wish all success to your deliberations. I thank you for your kind attention.